So with the teaser video finally being dropped for Path of Exile 2's 0.5 Return of the Ancient League, we finally get some information in regards to a release date as well as when the live announcement trailer stream will happen. And this sort of leaves the community with a bit more questions than we have answers to at the moment. So the live reveal for 0.5 will be happening on May 7th, 1 p.m. PDT, and the release will be happening on May 29th at 1 p.m. PDT. First of all, the league has been delayed. A lot of people thought that it's going to be first week, second week of May, but it's at the end of May, which will lead us to have almost a 6-month PoE 2 league for 0.4, which is unfortunate. Secondly, we know that the live stream is on May 7th. Now, this is very interesting because usually the live stream reveal happens a week and a day before, so usually will happen on a prior Thursday, a week before the league launches. And this is very interesting. May 7th to May 29th is around 3 weeks, so it's very interesting that they've decided to do that for whatever reason. Maybe it could be that they're not fully ready and they just want to show something at least for May 7th, because they know people are eager to hear some sort of information about what's going on and what their plans are going forward. Now obviously, and I'm hoping that they're going to have quite a few teasers and tidbits in between this time, between May 7th and May 29th. So that's very interesting. Secondly, big question is, what are their plans going forward? Are they going to stick to 4-month leagues? Because now that's been broken and this is almost a 6-month league. Is the next league going to be 4 months, or are they going to wait it out for 1.0 in December? Maybe even delay that for next year? Don't know, because at this point, yes, they've said that they're going to try and release 1.0 for this year, and it may not have all the classes, but it will have all the acts for the campaign. But again, you can't really go off the words that they have been saying for like 6 months or 8 months ago, because they are changing a lot of what they're saying based on sort of how the development of the game is generally going. So we could end up seeing a delayed release even, although they do have ExileCon in November. So my guess is that they're going to stick to a 1.0 release in December, and this is going to be the final patch before that release in December. There's also a question of how will this affect Path of Exile 1? Now we know Path of Exile 1's Mirage League launched in early March. So the question is that now going to be delayed because PoE 2's league is delayed? Are we only going to have 1 month in between, or is PoE 1 going to be delayed for another month? So that'd be interesting to know, and hopefully we get the answers to those questions very soon, and I'm sure we will. So let's sort of speculate a bit on why they could have been a delay for this. So we know it's delayed by at least 2 months, and we know that in 0.4 they were supposed to release the Endgame update, big Endgame update. So I'm guessing that they've been working on that since 0.3's launch, since after that. So they've had enough time to sort of cook on the Endgame updates, and I'm guessing that they were done fairly soon after 0.4's launch. So that's probably most likely not the reason for the delay, as that would have been done quite a while back now, and maybe they've just been refining that stuff throughout the past few months. I think the main thing that it could potentially be is the sort of class design and what they're doing with the classes. So I think we will see a class in this update, and if it is indeed the last patch before the official release, you know, they need to have swords and a duelist in the game. That's my opinion. I think a lot of people share that sentiment. So it'd be good to actually see the duelist come in, and I think it most likely will. I'm hoping that they're going to have a lot of other updates. We know that it's going to be a league mechanic attached to it that usually comes in a 4-month cycle. So I don't think that's necessarily the reason for the delay. I think that they're probably working on adding different fields to the original league mechanics that they had at launch, so trying to refine them and make them different from PoE 1, and perhaps changing the reward structure on them, because they have said that they wanted to do that with the update. I think the Atlas skill tree will get updated, although I don't think that's a cause for a delay, because that was something that they would have been working on with those endgame updates, as that's closely coupled with the actual Infinite Atlas update. But I do think the league mechanics, the original league mechanics, and them wanting to fix them, make them feel better, make them feel different from PoE 1 is probably a big chunk of the reason why also. And maybe even an act, right? I think Act 5 could potentially come with this league. I wouldn't be surprised. And again, if it is the last patch before the official release, and we know they want to get all 6 acts for that release, it would be a good time to release Act 5. And I know some people think that they should release Act 5 and 6 together, but having Act 5 release on its own giving players the time to sort of play and test and then to refine it would be a better approach in my opinion, even if Act 6 is just a small act anyway. So yeah, it'd be very interesting, and that's probably one of the first things I hope they talk about when they do this live reveal on May 7th. Let me know what you guys think could have been the reason for the delay. Next, let's talk about the must-haves for this league. Now, obviously, the community has been asking for endgame changes for a while. They've been promising them for a while, and it has definitely been a while. And I think it's about time that we get those endgame updates. So for this patch to even be considered decent, it will definitely need an endgame overhaul. Now, whether this is completely changing the way the Infinite Atlas works, which my guess is they will touch on that, but they'll keep the core idea still there. I think the better thing to do would be to sort of have some sort of boundaries around that Atlas area that people can explore, because right now it feels like endless exploration and it's no objectives really. The quest to sort of clear the corrupted areas are not really engaging nor fun. They definitely need to fix that issue, and I think that's one of the main issues with the Infinite Atlas that we have at the moment, hence why the end game feels kind of bad. As well as that, we have certain maps, quite a lot of maps that players just do not like. For example, like Maya, and some of these maps are absolutely huge and they take up way too much time in comparison to PoE1 maps. I think that the maps drastically need to be changed. The way the biomes work needs to be changed. And also one of the other big things is the towers. Personally, I feel like towers don't really add anything and they should just try to remove them. And if they do end up keeping them, give them some sort of meaningful purpose. I would like to see sort of more like quest driven stuff rather than the sort of aimlessly hunting for citadels and that based on RNG and finding the same citadel twice instead of finding different ones. I think that whole concept is bad, needs to be completely reworked. I think that's what we're going to see in terms of the Infinite Atlas. I think Jonathan also mentioned in one of the live streams that their focus is kind of going to be on the mechanics themselves also. This is also a big deal because right now we have stuff like Expedition, which is being straight up void from PoE1, actually made worse because of the rewards and how the reward works for it. So I think they just need to completely change the way a lot of the base mechanics that they've added works. So like for example, they added a base mechanic to PoE2. They completely changed the way that it is and the way that it plays, and it feels much better, much smoother than it is in PoE1, and it's something different, right? It may have the same name, but it's something totally different, feels different, and a lot of players like it. I think they should do the same sort of treatment on every single other mechanic that they ported over from PoE1, and also give them a better skill tree, and we'll get on to that next. So that's the Atlas passive skill tree. So that needs quite a bit of work because right now it's very bland. It doesn't add anything. Whether you put the points or not, you won't really feel too much difference. There are some exceptions on some of the points. I think just copying the PoE1 Atlas tree wouldn't be good enough. I think they need to really consider changing it. And Mark has mentioned the stuff that they're looking at doing is like whether you're adding less mobs to the map and making them more rewarding, or giving you like tons of map size and map density, but giving you slightly less loot and that sort of stuff. I think that's really good, and that changes, how you look at the maps or how you play these maps and what builds are going to be good for specific trees. But I think they need way more than that, and I think they really need to focus on making the Atlas tree feel like it's a big part of the end game and big part of the, when I say end game, I mean just as soon as you finish the campaign. So I'm hoping to see quite a lot of changes there. As for which direction they should go, I think they shouldn't be following PoE1 in this sense. I mean, they could take inspiration from it, but I wouldn't want to see the same sort of Atlas passive skill tree as I would in PoE1. But let me know what you guys think. Is that something you're interested in? Do you like the PoE1 tree? Do you think it's going to fit in PoE2? Or do you think they should go a completely different direction and try to do something totally different? Next, as I mentioned before, definitely want to see a class being added. Now, I know a lot of people are expecting swords. I think that would be the right goal for them to do a duelist and get swords in the game, because again, it's one of the main sort of building blocks on an RPG in terms of characters that you have and weapon types that you have. So I think swords definitely need to be put in the game, and I'm expecting that with an extra 2 months, they're able to sort of ship a new weapon type and a new class with this. But on top of this, I'm actually also expecting them to finish off some of the ascendancies that they have for the remaining classes. So I think they've teased stuff like the Beastmaster and a arcane bow character, and I think they should be in. I think they could fit 1 or 2 more in, potentially even add a secret ascendancy like they did with the Abyssal Lich, although I would just like to see those classes get 3 ascendancies each, and I'm expecting a few of them to have that at least, and I expect them to have all the classes that they have in the game to have 3 ascendancies by launch, so they don't have much time to do it, but I think they'll be able to pull that off. Let me know what you guys are excited about in terms of which ascendancies you want to see them release in this update. And one of the things that I think that they must have in this league is either give us Tota as a new way of ascending, and if you don't know what that is, PoE 1 used to have Tota, and it's like a auto battler, but I would like to see that in some form. But the main cause of that is because the other 2 ascendancy trials don't feel fun. Now, Secamus is, in my opinion, not that bad. People find it bad, and the trial of corruption is completely terrible in the way it works, and I think that does need to be changed quite a bit in order to make it somewhat fun for players to actually want to do. So if they do not release Tota, I think that they need to make changes to both Trial of Secamus and Trial of Corruption, because these right now just do not feel fun at all. And I would even argue that even if they add Trial of Ancestors, they should still at least look at doing some updates on these 2 other trials, because yeah, just ascending right now isn't that fun, especially Trial of Corruption. I think that needs so many changes in order to actually make it somewhat something that players can even look forward to, right? But I think Tota will be a good addition. They already have the sort of environment there in Act 4, they have the space for it, they already created the environment area for it, so I think just pouring that in would be great. I don't think it's going to work as it did in PoE 1, I think it'd be very different, but I am excited to see if it is coming in this patch, and they have said they do want it out relatively soon, so I think it's going to come out. Let me know what you guys think. Now, some of the stuff that maybe they don't need to have, but it'd be very nice if they did. One of the things is crafting. They need to make crafting simpler and not make it completely fully deterministic, but I'm hoping that the new league mechanic will incorporate some sort of crafting in some sort of way. I think Abyss had some good crafting when it came out, and sort of following that guideline would be great. But we do need a better way to sort of be able to craft items, making items on the ground feel especially more valuable in some sense, so you can actually craft on top of them. Would be amazing. I think something that also falls in line with this is just the ground loot stuff, and maybe buffing the ground loot a bit, especially after a league like Fate of the Val, where a lot of people were actually getting a lot of drops for divines. I think going back to the next league and not finding as much divines, or finding a lot less, it's gonna feel bad for a lot of players. So I think doing some buffs on the loot like they did with PoE1's Mirage League would be ideal. I would like to see something like that. Maybe, you know, the amount of exalts that drop just from the campaign is a lot more, just to help with the crafting aspect, right? Stuff like that. I would like to see something like that. I know that they obviously can't and they shouldn't make divines drop as they did in Fate of the Val League, but it'd be good to at least find better gear, more sort of crafting items that you can use to craft on your gear, like those exalted orbs and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping to see something along those lines as related to the league mechanic itself. One other thing that I personally have an issue with and I don't like in PoE 2 and compared to PoE 1 at least, is the way that the Waystones work. And currently, like, go from Waystone 1 to 15 and there's no difference. You probably won't even be able to tell the difference on a lot of builds. There's only a very small difference. I would like to feel a bit more, like I'd like to feel like I'm building up to going to Waystone 15, for example, like in PoE 1. So I think there needs to be some considerable changes to the map and the map affixes that we get, make them more difficult maybe per level, etc. Whether the Infinite Atlas plays a part in helping you do that or not, we'll have to wait and see, but I think there's definitely an issue with the way the Waystones are at the moment. It just doesn't feel like the ramping difficulty is enough or is not visible enough to players like myself, because I can just go from Waystone 1 and then Waystone 15 and then be like, okay, there's not much difference, and then I just adding more variety to the maps, right? So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this, because this is very personal one that I feel is an issue and kind of makes the end game feel quicker and gets boring pretty fast for me. Overall, I think this patch has to be huge in order for them to succeed, especially with the delays that have been happening with this. I think it's a make or break moment for Path of Exile 2 generally, especially if this is going to be the last big patch that we get before the official release. And I am obviously hoping that we get more information about why the delay happened, going forward, what their plans are. I think some sort of roadmap would be good in terms of releases. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'll be covering sort of the May 7th live reveal in depth, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. I'll go over the patch notes, although I think they might be delayed and they won't exactly drop on May 7th. I will have to see and find out. Yeah, so drop a comment below, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next one.